So if the trans lobby, the abortion lobby, or the surrogacy lobby aren't enough to clue you in, COVID should have revealed this to you more starkly. The medical field is its own military-industrial complex, if you want to call it that, in constant search of new battles to keep its ever-growing bureaucracy fed and funded. As this article from The Lamp reveals, quote, in 1990, manufacturing was the leading source of employment in most states. 30 years later, in 33 states out of 50, it is healthcare and social assistance. A country whose dominant industry produces nothing and hardly even creates value in the traditional sense is headed for trouble. The fact that its prices are centrally planned by a committee of doctors in the bowels of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services based on a resource-based relative value scale that boffins at the Harvard School of Public Health came up with in 1988 is even more redolent of the late Soviet era, end quote. And our first guest tonight is going to give us a peek behind the curtain, thankfully not the Iron Curtain again just yet, at the money game propping up America's largest and most recognizable abortion giant. Joining us now to discuss is Katie Brown, the Director of Communications for the American Life League. Katie, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks so much for having me, Kara. I'm excited to be on.
Great, excited to have you. So American Life League Stop International has new numbers out about Planned Parenthood affiliate CEOs and how they are basically the 1% that Bernie Sanders was always railing about for all those years. So can you talk to us about some of those figures?
Sure. So this is a report that our Stop International program comes out once a year, and it's basically an audit of all of the CEO affiliate salaries. And so the way that Planned Parenthood kind of works is they have their big Planned Parenthood Federation of America branch, and then they have 53 Planned Parenthood affiliates, which are basically set up as franchises. And of these 53 franchises, their average CEO salary is just about $317,000 a year, with their top paid CEO being a white woman who makes about $600,000 a year. So not only is Planned Parenthood generally about the 2%, they're comfortably within the 1%, which is, of course, the people that they target and call evil all the time. So a little bit of irony for Planned Parenthood.
Oh, definitely. And I think you're even quoted, I have here because it was very good. I think you say, if there's one thing that this report makes clear, it's proof that at Planned Parenthood, the rich get richer while the poor get abortions. Can you talk to us about some of those numbers, especially when it comes to abortions among the poor, that it's horrific what they do, that they search out these poor women and they basically gut them of their babies and take their money in the end. And like you said, they get richer and these women are left in the dust.
Absolutely. So Planned Parenthood actually themselves admit that 70% of their clientele are well within the poverty margin, with 70% of their clientele making 150% below the poverty line. So, you look at these numbers, and then you also look at the fact that 70% of Planned Parenthood facilities themselves are set up within walking distance of minority communities. It's very clear that Planned Parenthood is targeting the poor and they're targeting minorities, yet within their own business, they're bolstering up their CEOs to make, record income, not just in the nonprofit sector, but also in the regular, company sector. So it's just more proof that Planned Parenthood is going after the vulnerable and making money off the backs of women and innocent babies.
I mean, it's so lucrative to be nonprofit these days, which, it should be a head scratcher, but of course it's not. I think in the report also saying, all hundreds of millions coming from the taxpayer every year. I think, over a billion or 2 billion, I think, in assets. Can you talk to us about some of those numbers as well for this nonprofit that I'll put in air quotes?
No, I like to put it in air quotes too, and especially, American Life League, we're a nonprofit, and I say this all the time, if you work in nonprofit, you do not do this for the money. So it's just kind of funny because clearly Planned Parenthood is only doing it for the money. But yes, so like you said, their last couple of years, their revenue was about $1.2 billion, and that's including, their quote unquote services, which is basically blood money. That includes our tax dollars, and that includes private bequests and donations. So, this last year, after the fall of Dobbs, Planned Parenthood put out their annual report and basically kind of made it seem like it was the hardest year for Planned Parenthood to date. They've been scrounging for money because they're trying to basically sneak abortions in where they're no longer legal. But if you look at how they actually broke down the numbers, they brought in a record $670 million just in government funding alone last year, which is actually a record. That's the most they've ever brought in government money. So, Planned Parenthood does a really great job of saying that they're the underdog and that they are not funded. But the reality is that not only are they top funded, in our government, but they're breaking in more money now than they ever have been.